are not separate issues. Over 80% of rural households depend on springs for water, yet they're drying up. Biodiversity is under pressure, communities are being displaced, and institutions are being stretched. But Nepal is not passive in the threat of these threats. It's committed to net zero by 2045, adopted a climate budget code that directs 35% of public spending to climate-related actions, and requires that 80% of climate finance be spent at local level. These are powerful signals of political will, and the UK is proud to stand alongside Nepal in delivering on them. And we have a portfolio of work focused on adaptation with Nepal, on mitigation, health and inclusive development, the Resilience, Adaptation and Inclusion in Nepal programme, the Green Growth Nepal programme supporting low-carbon, climate-resistant development, and the Samarta programme building stronger systems for climate and health. The UK is working to improve access to the Green Climate Fund, to pilot carbon market approaches, and to mobilise investment in sectors like clean transport, waste and energy. It is an honour to be here today representing the UK. We look forward to continuing our partnership, not only in traditional development, but right across the climate and nature agendas. We remain committed to supporting Nepal as it strengthens its institutions, protects its ecosystems, and delivers for its people. Together, we will move from dialogue to delivery. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Now, may I invite the next speaker, His Excellency Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister for Energy and Sustainability Affairs of the United Arab Emirates, to make his statement, followed by India.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, honored hosts, Assalamu alaikum. It is wonderful to join you in Kathmandu for this historic first edition of Sagarmatha Samvad. I convey the sincere appreciation and the greetings of His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates. We extend our deepest thanks to the Government of Nepal, to Your Excellency, and to the people of Nepal for convening this vital dialogue at the roof of the world. The name Sagarmatha, which is the Nepali name for Mount Everest, reminds us of what is truly elevated in this world, not just peaks, but principles. Resilience, harmony with nature, intergenerational duty, and the pursuit of common good. Today, as we gather under the shadow of the Himalayas, we are reminded that what happens to glaciers do not stay in the mountains. Mountains are not only a vital source of water, biodiversity, and culture, they are also powerful indicators of our planet's health. What happens on the peaks today will shape the fate of the valleys and coastlines tomorrow. As glaciers melt, they feed rising seas. As slopes become unstable, landslides follow. Disrupted weather patterns bring droughts, floods, and food insecurity to communities near and far. In every sense, the fate of our mountains is intertwined with the future of humanity. Excellencies, although the UAE is not predominantly a mountainous country by geography, we are defined by a deep respect for nature. Climate change anywhere in the world carries consequences for all economies, and the UAE as a global hub for trade and innovation and resilience is no exception. Our mountain range straddling the Eastern Arabian Peninsula plays a vital role in sustaining biodiversity, preserving cultural heritage, and securing water resources in one of the most arid regions on Earth. This gives us a profound understanding of the risks faced by mountain communities and the shared purpose in amplifying their voices in global climate governance. It was from this same conviction, to ensure no vulnerable community is left unheard or unsupported, that the UAE helped drive a historic breakthrough at COP28 in Dubai, the operationalization of the Fund for Responding Loss and Damage. The UAE is proud to have been one of the first and largest contributors with $100 million to jumpstart the fund's life-saving work in supporting the most vulnerable. We made this commitment not out of symbolism, but out of solidarity. We believe no community, mountain, island, or lowland should face climate devastation alone or unaided. We recognize that mountain ecosystems are underfinanced and undervalued, despite their critical role in sustaining water security, biodiversity, and cultural heritage. The UAE is actively connecting private capital to high-impact adaptation, resilience, and nature-based solutions across fragile geographies. At the heart of these efforts lies the UAE Framework for Global Climate Resilience, a unifying approach launched to strengthen climate resilience worldwide and safeguard the most vulnerable. This framework reflects the UAE commitment to ensuring that no ecosystem or community is left behind as we transition towards a climate-secure future. We welcome mountain nations to work with us and regional finance institutions to develop the required financing tools that can respond to this important matter. As the host country of the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, co-chaired with Senegal, the UAE invites all nations represented here to help shape a global water agenda that includes glaciers, groundwater, and cross-ecosystem coordination. The water that flows from your peaks sustains our valleys. The fate of snowmelt is the fate of food security, energy system, and human health. This conference will be a platform to unique mountain, coastal, and desert nations behind the shared blueprint for water resilience. The UAE calls for a new South-South partnership for mountain and arid regions, bringing together states across Asia, Africa, and Latin America who shared the burdens of climate-induced water stress, biodiversity loss, and extreme weather. We believe that the highest summits are not those we stand upon, but those we rise towards together. The UAE stands ready to partner with all states represented here. Let Sagarmatha Sambad mark not just a moment of reflection, but a turning point for action, where the mountains inspire momentum and where climate justice is scaled from the peaks to the people. We have the tools, we have the science, and we have the collective ingenuity to change course. And remember, when we safeguard the mountains, we safeguard our shared homes. Thank you, Shukriya, Dhanabad.
Thank you, Excellency, for your statement. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Amandeep Garg, Assistant Minister, Government of India, for his statement, followed by the State of Qatar after this.
Honorable Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste and a very good afternoon to all of you. Sagarmatha Sambad, situated in the lap of the majestic Himalayas, offers an unparalleled opportunity to strengthen our shared regional and global resolve towards mountain sustainability and climate resilience. The theme of our discussion today resonates deeply with India. The Himalayas, our formidable sentinels and source of life-giving rivers, face unprecedented challenges. The future of these mountains is inextricably linked with the future of humanity, not just in our region, but globally. What happens in these ecosystems impacts biodiversity, agricultural systems, and the livelihoods of millions downstream. It is fitting that this conference will have a number of parallel scientific sessions covering a wide range of specific themes that will be discussed by a number of experts and other stakeholders over the next few days. While looking forward to these deliberations, I would like to note some common guiding principles that emerge from our perspective. In the light of global experience of more than 3 decades of UNFCCC, Our great achievement in the convention was the articulation of principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. In the Paris Agreement, we added the principle of climate justice. Since then, it has been a long effort to implement and operationalize these principles. The developed countries' emissions have led to disproportionate share of global carbon budget, being appropriated by a very few, while the majority of developing countries still have a long way to go in meeting their basic needs and priorities, let alone their aspirations for well-being. This is why the UNFCCC commitment that developed countries would take the lead is extremely important. Climate finance is among the most important commitment made by the developed countries under the UNFCCC and its Paris Agreement. Climate finance for adaptation and even more for mitigation has to be publicly sourced, predictable, and accessible based on the needs articulated by the developing countries. Further, increased ambition is necessary, but it has to be based on equity and CBDR and RC, without which it does not carry much meaning. Excellencies, dear friends, despite these formidable challenges, India, under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, has embarked decisively on addressing climate change. Our commitment is not merely rhetorical, but backed by concrete action and achievements. In particular, among many initiatives, recognizing the unique vulnerabilities of Himalayan region, India launched National Mission for Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem under our National Action Plan on Climate Change. India has championed initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, providing clean cooking fuel to 103 million rural households, thereby reducing indoor air pollution and pressure on forest resources in the mountain regions. The Soil Health Card Scheme, which provides vital information to the farmers on the nutrient status of the soil, supports 10 million farmers to improve the soil health and fertility. In the end, I would like to say that the future of humanity depends on how we collectively address the climate change and safeguard our mountains. This requires a paradigm shift towards green development, sustainable consumption, and climate justice. Let us work together with a sense of urgency and shared responsibility to ensure that these magnificent peaks continue to inspire awe and sustain life for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for your statement. I would now like to invite His Excellency Badr Omar El Dafa, Special Envoy for Climate Change, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, State of Qatar, for the statement, followed by Kyrgyz Republic. Excellency, you have the floor.
Assalamu alaikum. Excellency, Foreign Minister, Excellencies, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First, I would like to extend my thanks to the esteemed Foreign Minister of Nepal for this gracious invitation to this important conference on climate change, mountains, and the future of humanity. It is a privilege to be here in Nepal, a nation of breathtaking beauty and a profound ecological significance. Qatar, my country, despite its desert environment, recognizes the urgent global challenge of climate change and is actively contributing solutions. We have embarked on an ambitious path outlined in our National Climate Change Action Plan 2030, with a firm target of reducing greenhouse gas emission by 25%. By 2027, Qatar aims to expand its LNG production to 127 million tons annually to replace high-polluting fuels like oil and coal and use clean energy. Furthermore, we are making substantial investments in renewable energy sources and pioneering carbon capture and storage technologies to diversify the energy mix and mitigate our environment impact. Qatar has successfully designed 2 sustainable smart cities, Lusail City and Msheireb Downtown, which were designed to optimize sustainable urban planning through the application of world-class environmental standards. Qatar is highly committed to producing the most innovative and organic research projects, which is the way countries has invested in world-renowned environment institutions such as Qatar Science and Technology Park, Qatar Environment and Energy Research Institute. We also deeply praise Nepal's proactive and dedicated efforts in addressing the impact of climate change, particularly within your fragile mountain ecosystem. Your commitment to developing and implementing the National Adaptation Plan, focusing on vital sectors such as agriculture, water resources management, and disaster risk reduction, showcase a strong national resolve to protect your communities and natural heritage. Given its long ties with Nepal, Qatar stands ready to collaborate and share knowledge as well as collective strive for the sustainable future for all. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I wish best in this conference.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Excellency. Now I would like to invite Her Excellency Ms. Dinara Kemelova, Special Representative of the President of Kyrgyzstan, for implementation of 5 years of action for development of mountain regions of the Kyrgyz Republic, for the statement, followed by Brazil.
Your Excellency, Honorable Dr. Arzurana Deba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Nepal, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Government of Nepal for hosting this meaningful Sagarmatha Samad event and warm hospitality. I commend Nepal for its efforts in promoting the mountain and climate change agenda. This is the second time of my visit to Nepal. 1 year ago, Nepalese government organized expert dialogue on mountain, people, and climate change in Kathmandu. And last year, during COP29, President of Kyrgyzstan, Sadir Japarov, participated in a high-level session addressing climate-induced loss and damage in mountainous regions, hosted by Nepal President Ramchandra Paudel. At the same time, Kyrgyzstan, with Azerbaijan presidency of COP29, and Mongolia organized a high-level dialogue mainstreaming the mountain agenda and climate change in the framework of UNFCCC, with participation of President of Nepal and other distinguished delegates. These events contributed to advancing mountain agenda because mountain communities are among the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change, facing melting glaciers, water insecurity, land degradation, and economic marginalization of mountain communities. Addressing these challenges requires solidarity, innovation, urgent and transformative action. In this regard, the Kyrgyz Republic initiated and implements the 5 years of action for the development of mountain regions, for 2023 and 2027 endorsed by UN General Assembly resolution. This is not only a national priority, it is an international call for stronger cooperation, knowledge exchange, and investing to the resilience of mountain communities and ecosystems. Just last month in April, we hosted the Global Mountain Dialogue for Sustainable Development in Bishkek with participation of more than 50 countries and 29 international organizations. This conference marked a major milestone on the road to the Bishkek Plus 25 summit scheduled for 2027 as the culminating event of the 5 years of action plan for the development of mountain regions. It is not only reinforced global solidarity around the challenge of sustainable mountain development, but also laid the groundwork for concrete international action. During the conference, the President of the Kyrgyz Republic proposed a set of ambitious initiatives to elevate the mountain agenda in the global level. These include, first, establishing a fund for mountain countries' development. We advocate for targeted financing for needs of mountain regions to implement programs on climate change adaptation and resilience with a focus on glaciers, forests, addressing mountain land degradation and biodiversity loss, increasing preparedness for natural disasters, and social economic support for mountain communities, especially women and children. Second, creating UN coordinated mechanism, UN Mountains. Third, launching an international platform on mountain youth, women, and climate. In this regard, we continue to advocate for the creation of the broad coalition of mountainous countries and sustaining global mountain dialogue. Alongside with a group of friends of mountain countries in New York, the Mountain Partnership under the FAO in Rome, we have launched a mountain group in the framework of the UNFCCC, which counts today 9 state parties. We invite those countries which have not done so yet to join to this group. Today, as we look ahead of COP30, the Kyrgyz Republic, together with several mountain nations, is promoting a declaration on climate change, mountains and glaciers. We believe this declaration can become a shared voice for those whose lives and culture are shaped by highland ecosystems. We sincerely hope Nepal and other countries will join to this declaration. Dear friends, in order to continue our global mountain dialogue and mainstreaming mountain agenda and climate change, we invite you to participate in World Mountain Youth Festival in Kyrgyzstan in August this year, and Mountain International Conference next spring in New York in UN headquarters in 2026, which will be followed by second Global Mountain Summit in Kyrgyzstan in 2027. We hope that you will join and contribute in turning our shared concerns into collective solutions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Madam, for your statement. Now I would like to request His Excellency Mr. Carlos Alberto Michelson Den Hartog, Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Brazil, to deliver his statement, followed by Egypt.
Honorable Dr. Arzu Rana Deuba, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me congratulate the government of Nepal on convening the first Sagarmatha Sambat Forum and wish it complete success. As all of you know, Brazil is now preparing for COP30, which will take place in November 2025 in the city of Belém, Pará State, located within the Brazilian Amazon region. On March 10th, the President-designate of COP30, Ambassador André Correia do Lago, released his first letter to the international community presenting the Brazilian vision of COP30. The letter establishes the path that will lead to the definition of priorities for the conference. A broad consultation process will enable the identification of deliverables that combine ambition and feasibility in a highly challenging geopolitical context. Brazilian presidency of COP30 is working to define expectations for the 4 dimensions of the conference: meeting of head of state and government, formal negotiations, action agenda, and public mobilization. It's a quite long letter already delivered by our embassies to all parties of the convention. And so I will just mention 4 of its key points. The first one is the need to protect and expand cooperation in a context of serious institutional fragility of the climate regime. The COP29 negotiations in Baku last year show strong signs of fraying and possible exhaustion of the multilateral negotiation process. Moreover, in November and December of 24, other UN negotiations on plastic, biodiversity, and desertification failed. COP29 achieved merely sufficient results, concluding the rules for the carbon market, the last pending negotiation for the complete regulation of the rule book of the Paris Agreement, and defining the new climate finance objective, the last remaining mandate of COP21 in Paris 2015. The second key point is the need to reverse the worrying trend of unilateralism and fragmentation of cooperation. Therefore, COP30 constitutes an opportunity to consolidate the legacy of multilateral negotiations, avoid institutional and international law setbacks, and ensure that multilateralism and international cooperation remains the cornerstone of the global response to climate change. Brazil believes that COP30 must mark the moment where we transition to the post-negotiation phase of the convention, in which we refocus our efforts on action and implementation and on increasing the efficiency of the UNFCCC process to enhance ambition and concrete implementation of decisions. In that context, the COP30 presidency will organize some groups: the Circle of Presidencies, Circles of Indigenous Leadership, Global Ethical Stocktaking, Special Councils of Scientists and Economists, and a group of special envoys. The third key point, the importance of connecting the abstraction of negotiations with real life. As the global warming intensifies, climate changes increasingly impact the daily lives of people, governments, societies, and economies. A collective effort should reinforce precisely the centrality of climate action and put promises into practice. Accelerating the implementation of the Paris Agreement that depends on coordination and structural adjustment beyond the Convention of Climate Change. The Paris Agreement is working, but not fast enough. Accelerating and scaling results depends on the size of actions that go far beyond the Climate Convention, including levers for the broad and rapid dissemination of financial, technological, and capacity-building resources, as well as structural change in international governance and financial system, especially to increase fiscal space and reduce the cost of capital in developing countries. But Brazil hopes that the COP30 will leave a legacy of a granary of solutions in the areas of forest, mountains, energy, transportation, cities, agriculture, and livestock, as well as